Sandra all the time is here, ripping cold hard through. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. Good morning, K-Man. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing this beautiful Monday morning? Hope you guys are doing well and you had a safe and enjoyable weekend. It's Monday all over again, but it's not Groundhog Day because guess what? We got fresh content for you every single day. So we're going to bring it to you. You guys know how we like to do it. Breaking news, live news, everything. You get it right here on the Cold Hard Truth in your mornings. We haven't done one of our pre-recorded news segments lately, but we're going to get started back on those here in due course. It's just that the election takes up so much time. Oh my gosh. You guys have no idea how many moving parts there are to an election season, even from our perspective. So my hat's off to the candidates who are out there doing the most. Some of them are doing more than others, that's for sure. And of course, I want to applaud them at least for their efforts in getting elected. Those of you who aren't doing nothing, you know who you are. Sorry for you, but you better step up the game because I'm constantly having people ask me, Sandy, what about this person? I haven't heard anything from them. They're in my constituency. I don't know who I'm going to vote for, but I would like to hear from them. And all I can say is, honey, child, I wish I had an answer for you, but I'm not their campaign manager, for real. And so, you know, I cannot help you, and I certainly can't help them do what they need to do, which is reach the people. You know, that's their job. That's what they should be out there doing. So good luck to them. That's the best I can give them in terms of, some of them really have little to no chance of getting elected, but they're going to try, I guess, a thing. What a hot mess. So, it's interesting to see the individuals who are really not stepping up to the plate, because I have a very simple philosophy, and that is, listen, if you want our vote, you better work for it. And the fact that they try these cheap antics to get our vote and barely do any real work, well, I'm not impressed by the dancing and that whole sort of thing. You look like a circus monkey to me. And so none of that, quite honestly, impresses me. But there's some people who enjoy seeing the little sideshow. The real, pudding for me is I need to see you perform. I need to see you talk about the issues, talk about ideas, talk about where you stand when it comes to fighting for Caymanians, because more and more every single day, we are so much more cognizant of what a fight this is really going to be for us to, get anything in our own country. And so that's what I want to hear. I want to hear from people who are out there willing to work hard, because this isn't easy. It's not a walk in the park. These solutions and initiatives are not easy. There's no easy fixes to anything. Our problems don't come with easy fixes. If that's the case, they probably wouldn't be problems to begin with. Let's be quite frank and honest. We would have had it under control. So we need people who are dedicated to the cause. And I get that, obviously no one is perfect, and people will understand that at least you are willing to get in there and work hard. So the chamber debates continue. Please continue to tune into those every evening at 7:15. They are very, very interesting indeed. How do you feel about the debates? I mean, for me, it's like being in a beauty pageant, right? You know how you get certain points for your interview, and you get certain points for your onstage, your talent and all this sort of thing. In my mind, it's a very similar situation in that, the interview, I feel like you get maybe 15, 20% credit for it if you perform well. But if you bomb it, tell me what you think about this. I feel like if you don't do well, it hurts you more than it helps you if you do well. Does that make any sense? You guys understand what I mean with that? So in other words, here's how I view it. 15% if you do well. Like, yeah, okay. They get the issues, they can articulate the issues. But if you don't do well, it's more like it hurts you 30%. So it really hurts you a lot if you're not doing well. But if you do well, it's like, okay, great. So the expectation is that you're going to do well. And if you don't perform, then the expectation, or if you do perform well, then the expectation's right. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense. Does that make any sense to anybody? You guys understand what I mean? So you get different points depending on whether it's favorable or not favorable. Yeah? So I'm trying to, give me 1 second here. I'm trying to turn off the do not disturb on the phone so I can actually get your phone calls. There we go. Yeah, so that's kind of how I see the performances at the debate. But some people are there tanking it. In other words, they're doing horrible. And so that's going to hurt them a lot, because how can you be a sitting minister and talking pure nonsense and foolishness? I don't get it. I'm confused. What a mess. That ain't it at all. No, sir. And of course, y'all know John was on Friday. So that was a degree of entertainment. Let's put it that way. He says he wants 20-story buildings for the Cayman Islands. Did you guys hear about that one? I'm thinking, Lord have mercy. Wow, 20 story buildings. Is this dude for real? Yeah. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these video clips. And hopefully I've got someone on board who's going to be helping me, because it's very, very time consuming to do the video clips. But here's what he had to say. This is his solution to affordable housing. And then he started to get into like businesses and stuff as well. And then he dropped this bomb about a 20-story building has always been his idea.
That we have affordable land, not only houses, so that Caymanians can have access to. The area definitely would have to be rezoned. I support the multi-complex, multi-story. We have to go up. Cayman Islands is only so big, and we don't want to use up all of our land, and we have to go up. I support 20-story structures. I've said that publicly already.
Wow. Well, I support going up too, but 20 stories, not so much so. Not so much so. That was, yeah. That was interesting. I thought to myself, what? 20 stories? I don't think so. Listening to him, and I try to listen as objectively as I possibly can, but I have to admit that when you know some of the things that this man has said in the past, it is actually very, very difficult to listen to him. This is the man who has talked about setting the bar low, because that evidently is what he believes in. So it is challenging. It is very, very challenging to appreciate the things that he's saying and see any value in them. One of the things that he said, which I thought was peculiar, was about a grocery store owned by government. And I thought to myself, what? A government grocery store? Let me see if I can find this one. I'm not so sure that he made his point in terms of why that would be a good idea. I was trying to understand it, but I lost, he lost me. He didn't sufficiently make the case. He just said that a solution to our government, or cost of food was to basically have a government-owned grocery. And so I thought to myself, what's the benefit of having a government-owned grocery store? So I thought about it. I'm trying to find his points, and I can't find it. The point is definitely lost on me. So I thought to myself, government can do it cheaper than private sector. Why would we believe that? What proof do we have that government is going to be able to source groceries and they have the relevant experience to do it cheaper than private sector? First of all, the idea of government getting into more businesses makes me uncomfortable. And I'll tell you why. Because government needs to focus on its core issues, its core services, and try to get those right. Government has a lot to work on already. Trust and believe me, right? Those are the things that they need to focus on. Ms. Romellia, I see you, but are you sitting in front of a light source, like a window, Try to move over for me. Never sit in front of a window when you're coming on camera because it really negatively impacts your light. No. Don't argue with me. Just move. She's gonna set herself up differently. All right. So yeah, I'm even thinking about the cynical situation where government is like, okay, we're into basically private sector insurance. And I can tell you that so far that model has been, although they've just gotten started, so I don't want to call them a failure yet, but they're not competitive with private sector because they can't do it at the same price. They're actually coming in either the same price or even more expensive in certain instances. So how is that going to be a workable model for people? Like, why would you go to government and pay more money? Caller, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, dear.
Don't you know that 70 million is less than 20 million? You're building a high school in Nebraska that's going to cost more than CIS costs.
Can you imagine? Or more than Island Primary, which is a more recent school. Of course, their argument's going to be like, well, CIS is an older facility, yada, yada, yada. But I struggle to find cases where government has actually gotten it right. And I challenge anyone to show me where government has entered into a business model. Somebody mentioned Cayman Airways, and I had to laugh. As much as I love Cayman Airways, that's the worst possible example. Cayman Airways is subsidized by government to the tune of millions of dollars. We do it because we say, okay, the arguments for national airline outweigh the financial and fiscal sense of it, right? So we know that we're hemorrhaging money, we're losing money, but we say we're okay with that, I guess, up to a point, because we need a national airline for different reasons. But in terms of the efficiency of it, in terms of the profitability of it, Cayman Airways isn't profitable. And so that's not the example for you to throw at me to say, well, look at Cayman Airways. I'm like, huh? What a mess.
When it comes to the efficiency and operation of Cayman Airways, I think there's improvements can be made there, but that's a different subject.
Yeah.
The point that I want to make is that we're starting to sound like a communist country.
Where we want government to do everything, and we want them to get involved in everything. And
if you think that works, take a look at Argentina.
Okay? Right.
They tried it over 80 years ago, and they're having to come to grips with a very bitter reality. Doesn't work. We shouldn't follow in their footsteps.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So Mr. Andy Martin, good morning, sir. How are you? So nice to see you here. He says, I think he said something about owning a card and getting a discount every time you go to the store, some crap like that. Well, let's listen to what he said. That's why I love these clips, because we can hear it direct from the horse's mouth, or in this case, the donkey's mouth.
Whenever you get a situation where the minimum wage is less than a 12 pack of eggs, then we have a problem.
Hold on a second. That was not lost on you guys. You guys were like, what? A 12 pack of eggs? Who says a 12 pack describes certain things, but certainly not eggs? It's a dozen eggs, sir. Minister, a 12 pack of eggs. You're thinking about beer. You're talking about drinks and beers in a 12 pack. Okay. That's a 12 pack of Heineken, a 12 pack of what else y'all be drinking? What's the local one called? I don't even know, but that's a 12 pack. Somebody tells you what he be purchasing. It's called a dozen eggs. All right. Lord Jesus, please deliver us from these politicians.
I can say that I've been working on a program with this government. It didn't go any further because the leadership didn't think it was important, but I think it's important for us to create a government discount.
Stick a pin. He's been working on a program with this government, his government, UPM government, and the leadership didn't think that it was important. That would be Juliana O'Connor Conley, because she's too busy spending her money on everything else, including you know, $100 million school. She took another $1 million the other day to move it from one account to the next. So between now and April the 30th, she can allocate that to all sorts of stuff in Cayman Brac. So, you know, yeah. But anyway, his leadership didn't think it was important. Let's continue.
Went any further because the leadership didn't think it was important. But I think it's important for us to create a government discount store. And that discount store will be on products that are already duty free. And I will, as I go out through my campaign and my public meetings, I will discuss this further.
So a government discount store on products that are already duty free. Have it make sense. You see, one of the things, these people do not do their research, right? They get up and they say all sorts of nonsense that doesn't make any sense, that's indicative of people who do not do their research. For example, yes, there are duty-free items. I heard one candidate, I cringed when she said it because she is a TCCP member and I'm here to hold all of them accountable. She was talking about, you know, we need zero discount on certain things like feminine products, whatever. And I'm like, the people you're running with, Andre, Kathy, Sabrina, and Wayne Panton already did that. One of the first things they did when they got in is they revisited the tariffs on products and they made a number of items back in 2021, 2022. They made a number of items duty-free, including feminine products. And I think even milk and some other items. So they've done that already. So how are you sitting on a platform not knowing that that's been done? You guys, if you're running for political office, you've got to come and you have got to come serious. You have got to be willing to do your research. Don't make proposals for stuff that has already been done. Okay, that means you're not up with the times. You're simply not paying attention. So a government discount store on items that are duty free. Well, what, your government discount store is going to have like 30 items in it? That's going to help the people of the Cayman Islands? You need to figure out what drives the cost of food. And it's not always the duty, to be fair. We've sat here in this program and talked about orange juice. Now it's eggs. You know, we import everything, right? And it's not the importation of it that is necessarily the problem or the importation duty. It's the fact that there's shortages and there are other things happening on the other side of the food supply chain. And if you're not paying attention to those things, if you don't know right now what is driving up the cost of eggs, then it has nothing to do with duty, then something is wrong with you. If you don't understand that in the past we've had, you know, milk and juices, and we've had crops that have had diseases, and as a result of that, there's a worldwide shortage, or the price has skyrocketed. Maybe there isn't a shortage, but the price has skyrocketed worldwide because of those particular things. Why is the price of oxtail, if we're importing oxtail, why is the price of oxtail worldwide so high? We have actually talked about those very things right here on this program. So it says to me that you've got people who want to run your country with $1 billion budget, and they don't even keep up with regional or international affairs to help them answer a chamber question. You need to do your part, candidates, right? If I want someone getting in there who has the equivalent of, you know, a junior high school understanding of the issues, we might have a problem. And that is why we remain stuck on this roller coaster, this hamster wheel of doing the same thing over and over again. So it's ridiculous. Somebody says that's why they should be having the debate on your show. No, make the chamber do it. That's fine. I know Radio Cayman is trying a thing with the debates, but I've heard some interesting remarks about people like the format and that they can respond to each other, but people don't like a lot of the moderators. They said that, you know, they're losing respect for these so-called moderators, the way that they're acting and carrying on. So I think the thing with the chamber is they've been doing it long enough, and they do it in a way that is, nobody can't argue with their partiality, right? Morning, Jonathan. Keep it brief for me this morning. We do have a guest waiting.
Morning, Charlie. How you
Morning.
doing?
Not too bad. How was your weekend?
All right. Good.
Good.
Yeah. Look, when I heard John say that, I just wish Mr. Seymour would actually be able to see more sense. But the first,
Smooth.
the first thing that came to my mind when Mr. Seymour said that was, my mind went straight to the government-run grocery stores in Cuba.
Oh, a communist country?
Yeah, exactly. And we all know how successful that is.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that has struck me is that I have yet to hear or yet to witness those candidates being willing and are able, or having the intestinal fortitude or the preparedness to actually bring forth real solutions to the cost of living that we have here in Cayman, which is, from what I understand, second in the world cost of living index.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I can certainly identify is this government largesse, the size of government that we have, comparable to our population, and how that can be compared to other governments across the world. And all of the bureaucracy, all of the implementation of the welfare state, all of what my word is largesse, and I'm sure El Rey gonna have a problem with that word too, but that's one way. And the second way is, yes, we will always have differentiations in price due to one thing happening or another in the supply chains. But the point of products that are deemed duty-free, far more of which should be deemed duty-free here in Cayman. And the uppricing of that should be taken into consideration as something that has to be addressed by the retailers of these products. However, that goes down a slippery slope that we also have with what we see Cuba and their government-run stores when it comes to controlling prices and so on and so forth. There is a question, but we need our candidates to be able to bring forth common sense solutions to the cost of living index in Cayman. We speak about container houses. We speak about going up 20 stories and so forth. Basically, the creation of projects. Instead of looking at what the cost of living index is pertaining to a Caymanian building a house, we have this idea of affordable housing instead of protecting and giving relief to the Caymanian middle class. Instead, we're going from one extreme to the other. The talk is going from giving the super rich everything they want to creating a socialist state in Cayman, and neither one are the actual successful equation for Cayman in the future or today. So those are my thoughts this morning.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it very, very much. Listen, I'm not sitting here saying that any of these solutions are easy to implement, right? Because, our cost of living, quite frankly, is driven by a lot of factors that we have no control over. And so that has to be reality that we have to accept as a small island nation, right? That has to import everything. We need to recognize how that directly impacts our cost of living. So there's a lot to be said for that. Now, this commenter on WhatsApp says, governments aren't in the business of being in business. The purpose of government is to facilitate and create opportunities for businesses to flourish, creating an environment where people have the opportunity to meet their full potential. And I completely agree with this. Why are we pushing this concept that government should be competing with private sector and government should be in business? That doesn't make any sense. So let's be very, very clear here, folks, that the day you start to have this idea that government should own everything, you need to look, as Denny and Jonathan rightfully said, look at the countries where they have tried that and it simply has not worked. All communist countries try that, and God knows their model is really flawed, right? In addition to that, You have Argentina. There was a very interesting, not Argentina, Venezuela. There's an interesting article about how Venezuela got where it got. You see, these are the types of things, thank you, Magdalene, that I constantly advocate that we, as supposed leaders in this country, need to be paying attention to. You have got to be prepared to listen to experts. No singular politician is an expert, a subject matter expert on everything. I am not an expert on everything. I sit here and I read, I learn. That's what Friday's show was all about. And for those of you who've been contacting me about Friday's show, thank you so much. It was an amazing interview. But we have to listen to the experts, because the experts are the ones who've done the research. They have the relevant skills. They are not in it for some other ulterior motive. Like, I had to chuckle when one of the ACT members said, well, go and listen to, come to our meeting where those in tourism tell you how it is. I'm like, those in tourism are going to fight against the raw numbers? Are y'all serious? I don't understand how that's going to work. No shade to ACT, but I got your email that you sent out yesterday where you're wanting to convince the people of this country of your position based on some woman named Sanya Richards-Ross. Apparently, she is a Olympic gold medalist, and she's advocating for infrastructure improvements during her recent visit. Who the hell is she? Why are we listening to this woman and you're not listening to a world-renowned economist who's like, look at the numbers. Let's look at the data that we have available. Yes, there are some areas where there isn't sufficient data, but based on the data that you have, what you're trying to do makes zero sense. So why should I care? This is their email that they sent out. Why should I care about Sanya Richards-Ross? I don't even know who the hell she is. 4-time American Olympic gold medalist. I've never even heard of her. But why does her opinion matter over that of like bona fide experts with 20, 25 years of experience? Countries around the world, in the Caribbean, they delved into the research. They looked at cruise birthing. Who on earth is Sanya Richards-Ross? Your arguments are illogical. And so you're trying to win people over based on emotive elements that just doesn't make any sense. My Caymanian people, Magdalene says it. I do agree that a lot of these candidates are not aware of what's happening in the island and in the world. You keep telling your listeners to educate themselves. And I'm also here telling the candidates this morning that you also need to educate yourselves as well. Listen, I don't mind a good soundbite, but you better come good and you better at least know what you're talking about at these chamber forums. Let's hear a couple more clips. Mr. Bodden had a few, and then we're going to bring in our special guest this morning.
Or to alleviate corruption should come under a code of conduct that every MP in this country has to sign. That code of conduct should be across the board in government and all sectors of employment. It is not just MPs, but it can also extend to people on boards appointed by politicians and supported by politicians in the form of kickbacks. We have heard rumors of things happening that is not conducive to legal procedure in this country. The rumors are out there.
Well, I agree with greater accountability. And that is something that definitely will have to come in the form of greater accountability at the board levels as well. I mean, I've sat here and told you guys of horrible stories, quite frankly, of board members engaging in what is actually illegal activity. And unfortunately, because the victims are afraid that if they say that they were paying to have their work permits listed or expedited or whatever, if they go and share that information, they're going to get kicked off this island. They sit back and they do nothing about that, and they become part of the problem. So this is an issue. This is a concern. Okay. All right. We're going to be pulling in Mr. Romellia here. I'm just trying to give her a little bit of advice. Yeah. On how to come in. All right. So that's a problem. And so I want to encourage our people to not fall for individuals who have a track record of doing things the wrong way, of not following the rules. Somebody told me, they were speaking to a friend recently, and they were saying, oh yeah, Chris Saunders had his first meeting and he impressed them because he's talking good. Well, that man has always talked a good talk. There's no two ways about it. But what I would say is his actions have proven that he's not an individual of integrity. And so I finally have my FOI response. I need to go through it today, and I will be putting an editorial together focused just on his behavior in relation to the civil service. How can I vote for someone who doesn't believe in following the rules? That is fundamentally a problem for me. And when I say he doesn't want to follow the rules, that's at all levels, whether it was airport security, compromising airport security, whether it was instructing staff members to do things that was not things that they should have been doing. Oh, just pay an invoice. We don't care about the logistics of it. Let's ignore contracts in government that people have signed and try to give the contracts to our friends. I mean, that's who you want running our government. Those are the people that you believe will do a good job for you because they get up on a stage once every 4 years and they talk a good talk. That's madness to me. And this is why we'll continue to have the problems that we have, because we're electing people who should not be electable in any way, shape, or form. So Finya, thank you. She said she's loving the blue top this morning. Tartarian says Richard Ross was born on February 26, 1985 in Kingston, Jamaica, a retired American sprinter. Still don't know who the hell she is. Never heard of her in my life before. So once again, her opinion on Cruz birthing. Jean says she was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I used to watch that show and I've still never heard of her. But nonetheless, her opinion is more important than what experts tell us. Okay. Cortez Lopez, good morning, says the idea of government discount stores is a stupid idea. Government is not in the business to compete with other businesses, to put them out of business and make Caymanians unemployed. Well, Cortez, not for nothing, but that's not what's going to even happen. They're not going to be putting anybody out of business because they're not going to be able to do it cheaper than anybody else. That's why even this concept of a national lottery has a lot of flaws in it from a business perspective. Let's just be clear. Let's welcome our guests. We have none other than Miss Romellia Welcome. Miss Romellia, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored beyond all measures.
That's wonderful. So we welcome you to the program. This is your first time on here in this format. Of course, we know you are a regular caller to the program, and we appreciate you coming on. Well, honey child, you've decided to take your hat and throw it in the ring when it comes to political office. Tell us why you decided to do that.
Well, for starters, I'm a passionate
you gotta speak up a little bit. So I know this is your first time, but just maybe get a little bit closer. We need to get you like a little mic or something so that we can hear you properly. Because you're coming in.
How is it now?
Yeah, you're coming in low because most of these computers you need a little external mic, but I'll pump you up as much as I can. Let's try it and see. Yeah, you need like a little lapel mic, but all right.
As a passionate Caymanian who has been a very strong community advocate in the island and from East End to West Bay, And I have a passion of serving people. I have a passion of getting things done for people. Not only in our communities, with getting what's needed in our communities for our communities, but for our seniors as well. What has really hurt me, and I have got to the stage where I have enough of it, is that when you find people in the communities who are out there trying their best to serve the communities and get things done, they have no support whatsoever from especially those MPs in those said communities where we're trying to get things done. We find that our communities have been neglected for what we would say donkey years, and our Caymanians have been pushed in a corner to the back of the room, and everybody else is striving and we are not. So with all of that, I mean, I've been speaking to MPs, support me with this. Let's get this done. We can make our communities better. We can, instead of dividing our communities in different class, let's come together and see how best we can get our communities to come together and strive and look good. All falling on deaf ears. And I decided last minute, because at the end of the day, what I was waiting on and hoping that somebody would have stepped up to the plate for Georgetown North, that I would have been able to work with, and they could have worked with me on achieving my goals for the communities and support me. Why was I wrong? So I decided, I prayed about it, and I asked the Lord to open the way for me to be able to go through this financially, and he did. God is awesome. He is good all the time. So he did, and oh my gosh, it is so overwhelmed to see the amount of people that have come on board to sponsor my campaign. It is just unbelievable. But when God in it, I mean, expect no less.
Well, this is wonderful news. I think a lot of people were certainly surprised when you threw your hat in the ring on nomination day, March the 3rd. They're like, what's Miss Romellia doing? And so you're going up against a bit of a heavy hitter. I'll be honest with you. Joey Hugh is the leader of the Progressives. So a lot of people, someone even sent in an editorial to us about, David and Goliath. So when you think about what you've undertaken, Ms. Romellia, and your chances of actually being successful, is there any fear in your mind as you head towards April the 30th?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Sandy, I remember years ago, I went and I spoke to the opposition and tell them what is needed, especially in
the opposition being the Progressives?
Yes. And tell them what is needed, especially for Washington Boulevard. And 7 years ago, to be precise. And up to this minute, nothing has been done. I went and I asked for a restroom for the Washington Boulevard Park. He came up with a greater idea. Oh, let's enhance the park. Plans was done. Everything was drawn up and everything. Only to see around 2 weeks prior to the ending of the election, plans went in and has been approved. That is poor leadership. That is not stable, proven leadership. We are here hired by these people to serve the people. They need to serve the people and serve the people to the best of their ability, not neglect the people and serve those special interest people. No. It's not only the special interest people that elects them. It's the same grassroots people who now they're pounding down doors, the same ones that they have been neglecting for the past 4 years or 3.5 years. It's them same people now they're turning back towards them. Easterners will say we're like a dog with their tail between their legs. No, we can do better. We can do better. My track history of all that I've done and I've gotten done and has not been on any government pay list. Everything has been done from my heart, the goodness of my heart, and the Lord opened the way for me to continue to get done what I have gotten done. So that is proven. I think they needs to go into the dictionary and see what the meaning proven, stable means. Because obviously what they have presented thus far is unbelievable. It's the opposite of proven. It's the opposite of stable. You understand? So I'm asking and imploring to our Caymanians, especially Georgetown North, vote wisely. Vote for someone who has a track record of getting things done. Not someone who turns their back on them after the election, give them a few dollars here and there, and turn their backs on them afterwards, because in that few dollars in that food card only lasts for a certain amount of time.
That's right.
How about having someone that will be there at all times, or someone that would meet your demands and meet your needs at all times?
Well, not only that, Miss Romellia, but I encourage people to elevate themselves, because the truth of the matter is, I don't need a politician to give me a phone card. And the concept of, if I call them, I'm going to need them to help me. I don't want to be in that position. All I need them to do is not hinder progress for people who are trying to do their little businesses. So make less red tape, make it less cumbersome. Don't put any roadblocks in our way, and create opportunities for Caymanians to thrive. So, we're not looking for any handouts here. What we need are simply systems that work, and that people with certainty know how the system is going to work, and we can go out there and hustle and make our own way. So
I totally agree. As the saying said, don't give me the fish, give me the line, the hook, the bait, the sinker, and teach me how to fish.
Yes,
and that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to get my Caymanians to understand. Once you depend on these politicians for a food card or for a few dollars, it's like you're in bondage to them. And that's what they want. They do not want to see you helping yourself. They want you to be bondage to them, that they know they got you at election time. Cayman, we can do better. We can do better. So let's vote wisely. This election, let's say enough is enough. And most of all, red means danger. It means stop. It means do not proceed. Let's get together and make a difference. Together, we can make the difference for the betterment of our people, our children, our grandchildren, and especially our seniors. It is so heartbreaking to see when I'm out there canvassing and see it come backing up on seniors, especially in Georgetown North, living in deplorable condition. It is heartbreaking, and it had me.
I know that you actually sent me a voice note on Saturday, because you did go and visit a senior, and you were very, very emotional after visiting with this person, because you said, Sandy, the conditions that this man is having to live in is deplorable. And so your position is, our MPs, and in this case, you're calling out Joey Hughes specifically. He needed to step up to the plate, because now you're saying to the people of Georgetown North to vote him out, because he, despite his slogan, your position is he has not lived up to that slogan. And so I'm going to show some of the pictures now that you shared with me. We have blurred out this man's face, because, of course, what he's living in is deplorable conditions, to say the least. So let me just pull up a few of these here for our audience members to see that right in Georgetown North, this is how we have people living. These are some of the conditions that they're living in. This looks like an unfinished home, an unfinished shower, and it looks like it's been like that a very long time. This is the inside of his house. So this is when you're doing your canvassing, that you're coming across these individuals, Miss Romellia?
Yes.
I mean, look at his bed. That looks like something that should be in the garbage, not something that people are actually sleeping on. So you seem to be getting very emotional here, Miss Romellia. And of course, there will be people who are listening to this thinking, you know, we don't want anybody too emotional, because you got to get in there and get to the fixes and not lead with your emotions. So what do you say to those individuals who might be thinking, why are you so emotional today?
I say that, I mean, I'm human, and it's sad to see people living in this condition, that right in our community that's supposed to be prosperous, supposed to be very, I would say, upscale, but it drives right back to the special people having the privilege of not living this way. It hurts because and at the end of the day, it drives my passion more to get things done for people like this man. You understand? It is sad to see that the voting public, I would like to ask, how do they see, how have they improved living standards in the past 12 years? I'm a go-getter. I certainly will be looking into the situation with this man and helping him to the best of my abilities. So I mean, no one should be living in this condition. When you find people living like this, of course you'll break down. But at the end of the day, you're not going to stay down, broken down. You're going to get up and you're going to do what it takes to make things right. And that's what I'm all about. Doing what it takes to make things right by our people and for our people.
Yeah, I mean, these are deplorable conditions, and it is sad to think that here we are, a country that brags about, you know, being a first world country, and yet we have people living in a shed, not even a proper, decent looking shed, but a shed that looks like this, where the wood is rotting, falling down. He looks like his electricity is being supplied through some kind of jerry-rigging situation here. This is just really, really sad. It is. It's unbelievable.
This area here is with the wood where it's eaten out. That is his bathroom.
Oh, that's the bathroom.
That's the bathroom. That's where the man shower. He has a toilet for massive. You have to come out of the little house to go outside to use restroom. This is sad.
People are asking, where's his family in this? Do you have any idea?
I have not been able to get in contact with any of his family members. I've just learned who a family member is, and I know that person pretty well, which I will be reaching out to them today after I finish with the elections office this morning.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, he looks like for his little space that he has there, you know, he doesn't even have a proper closet. He just has a piece of wire running there that he needs to, that he's trying to put up his little clothes on. And I mean, it's just a sad situation. It also looks like a health hazard, to be quite frank and honest. Wow. Now, Ms. Romellia, you know, these are some recent pictures that you took, but I think we should spend a little bit of time here this morning talking about your history of advocacy. We have 630 people, you know, on the line. And so let's talk about who you are and what are some of the things that you've done, you know, in the past, so that people can know that your advocacy and your desire to help people isn't something new. So there's a number of programs that you are currently involved in. One is your Cayman Action Kind Committee. How did that get started? Because someone said something about Carmen McField started that, and then she put you in charge of it.
No, because we came together. We and Carmen always used to be in the community, doing things in the community. And we have reached out to people like in different communities to come, let's sit down and have a round the table discussion. And we did, and then we decided to say, okay, let's form a NPO, and then we would be able to get funds in to assist our communities. And Carmen was one of those people who we reached out to, who was at that table, and from the beginning, she was there, and we voted, and then that was where I became president, and Carmen Macfield vice president. She was there from the beginning. So we have been doing a lot of stuff in the communities for years, myself and Carmen, and we're working along with a few government entities, and there's times that we would hit roadblocks, like illegal what they would call speakeasies, where that's where illegal activities happens in the communities. And once you find speakeasies in our communities, that is dangerous, because it brings in unwanted people, unwanted activities, and unwanted people. We've been fighting against that for a number of years, for things that people have been screaming about for years that have gone unnoticed, drains in our communities. Thank God NRA came on board and got us drains in Windsor Park, and it no longer floods like it used to. Even if it do, it's little or no while it's all gone. Keeping our roadsides clean, keep the overgrown vegetations from out in the streets, and speed humps. We got speed humps put in. We have done so much and coming from so far. When we tried to reach out to DCI, which we got little to no response from DCI with illegal activities, illegal businesses happening in our communities. Sandy, there is so much, because what people can also do is go on Caymankind Action Committee Facebook page and see all that we have done there. We work very closely with the seniors. As you know, they're my pride and joy. We tries to get them out. I find and feel that once seniors are noticed and given attention, and bring them out so they can communicate and mingle with each other, they're the happiest soul. And there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge in a room filled with seniors. You understand? So I come to the conclusion one time. It says we did a happy seniors event at Emsley, and after that we went on a tour. We took them on a tour East End, and they were so excited. But what saddened me was to see when it was time to go home, had them out for 7 hours, they had this sad expression on their face that they were leaving the company. So I decided, I said, okay, how about let's take in our seniors to Kim Brack for a long weekend, so they can be with each other, talk all night, and just enjoy each other company. So we went and we did that, and we got funded to take our seniors over to Kim Brack. And the next year we took them to Panama. Oh my gosh, they had an awesome time. They looked like, a light had lit up in their face, where they were stress-free and so happy. So I really enjoy being around my seniors and doing things for my seniors. I have a passion of doing things for people, because my passion and my happiness comes from seeing people happy and seeing people needs met.
All right. So you got obviously a lot of ground, I would say, that you're going to have to cover without a doubt. And so the journey for you began on nomination day, in a way, although you've always been in the community. So I think from that perspective, you've done quite a good job already proving yourself in terms of that. Let's just take a few questions. Ms. Romellia does have to go and deal with her postal ballots this morning. And we also have an interview from our youth parliamentarians that we want to share with you all as well. So Salvin says that he thinks, isn't that exploitation of the man's condition for political gain. So how do you respond to Selvin's question?
No, Selvin, it's not for political gain. It's just to show the public of how people are living in our community. And with the present MP is aware of this situation and has not done anything about it. This is my first time bucking up on this man. Rest assured, if I had found this man before I decided to throw my hat into this arena, he wouldn't be living in this condition. It's the same thing with the roads. Look, from October, November last year, I've been begging NRA to fix McField Lane, the corner of McField Lane, and voila, it's been on notice until this weekend. Gone. It's obviously open now. I feel that that's an election gain because they wanted to done in the election to refreshing people's minds, saying that, oh, they're actually getting things done. What happened to the other 3.5 years that things were neglected? Look at the big potholes in the road. Look at Borden Road. Look at down in Washington. Look at Eastern Avenue. And we're talking about an MP who at one point in time was Minister of NRA. Look at my good friend, Mr. J.E. Banks. Look at what he has done and how he has transformed Northside. I take my hat off to him. Why can't we have our MPs, all of our MPs, show this great interest in our communities and still get the work done for our people?
Yeah. So you've sent us, and we'll get into this the next time you come in, some of your other community advocacy, but you have sent us, lots of evidence of, painting the medians and working with, for example, the Boys to Men program, getting the young people out there, getting them involved. You talked a little bit, obviously about the seniors and the things that you have done in order to get them involved in this process as well. We do have a caller, so let's take a brief call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra. I was listening to Romellia and she was saying that she had been asking for McField Lane Road to be done, and I'm very proud that she finally got that. But my question is, have they paid the people that own the majority of that land, which is Mr. Clifton Bodden, which the political teams knew very well. He was one of those that was always campaigning and working very hard for PPM and many others. And Jeffrey and Loisty, which is Mr. Clifton's daughter and grandson, they have not been paid for the profit that has been taken away from them. That needs to be addressed. So I hope that can get done. Take care, darling.
Thank you.
Sandy, I did speak with the director of NRA, Edward Howard, regarding that said situation. And I asked if we could get around the table, sit down and discuss it. And he is open to it. Okay. So we're looking to get that done once we can get that sit down.
All right. We have one question here, which is a very interesting question. And we get this a lot. And so I do want to pose it to you because I think it is a valid question. So we have, let me just, give me 1 second. I just need to restart the Instagram feed here. So we have people who are skeptical of individuals who are Christians. And I mean, this person, let me just find the comment here because I think they actually do a really good job of expressing it. So this is Isley 2025, and they have the following to say, and I've seen this even with other candidates who are faith-based candidates. They said, Romellia is a Christian and God faith, from what I gather. My question is, will she rule with those principles only, like the corrupt premier, or by logic, data, and fairness? Government can't be just God. So there are a lot of people who don't want the commingling of government. There is a separation of church and state in a lot of jurisdictions. And we have seen in this country, when there is no separation of church and state, a month before an election, all of a sudden we see a church getting $1 million donation. So there are people who really, when they hear that you're a Christian, it's almost like they want to put up, they want to come at you with the cross and put up have an exorcism against you because they feel like once you're a Christian, you don't have no common sense. God didn't give you common sense. He didn't give you the right kind of morals, and he didn't give you the ability to listen to data and to have that really help push your decisions. What do you say in response to those individuals who question, because you are very much into your religious beliefs, who question whether or not that is going to make you a good representative of the people?
Sandy, I always say that you gotta find people who love the Lord. When you find people who love the Lord, love themselves, they would love others and do right by others. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
If I am willing to work with people in there, but if it's not right, if it's not for my people, it's not helping my people in no shape, in form, which I tell everyone that I have come in contact with. If my people are not getting anything out of the deal, if it does not benefit my people, please do not bring it, because I will not be supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that there's no accountability in there. So I feel by me getting in there, like being elected and getting in there,
Mm-hmm.
that accountability will be there by the grace of God. You understand? I am not going to back down, by the grace of God, my Christian values.
Mm-hmm.
I love this road I'm on, and I thank God every blessed day for saving me and for salvation. God is good. Oh my God, God is good. God is good. You understand? So I feel that being honest and truthful to my people is the key, and not to participate into anything that would do my people harm or leave my people out. And I think I think that's why we need more spiritual minded people into this assembly, because at the end of the day, they would want right by their people and see to it that the people get what is needed, what they deserve, the attention and whatever help is needed for that family or that community to strive.
So someone has a very interesting question about this. Well, first of all, they were asking whether or not the living conditions of this man is even legal. They say, who regulates the slumlords? See how regulated the Airbnbs are, but our own people are enabled to live in squalor. And they asked the question, does she believe that it's only people who love the Lord who are capable of being honest, compassionate, and good?
Well, that's the key foundation of it, because once you have God in you and some sort of spiritual beliefs in you, you know right from wrong. So basically what I'm saying, I know they have some good people out there. I'm not kicking against that. And some honest people out there. But look at what we have been living through in the past 2 decades. Look at how our people has been ignored, communities ignored in the past 2 decades and beyond. So we need someone that is fearless. We need people that is not afraid to stand up for our people. We need people who are not afraid to stand up and for the truth and speak the truth.
All right. Somebody else said that it's this kind of belief that has gotten us where we are now with people like Juliana O'Connor Conley. So this, unfortunately, is the difficult position that we're in, because we have people who profess to be Christians, and I mean, we're not in a position to judge. Certainly their actions don't align with that, but they lead with their faith and they spew a lot of hate in the community. So one of the most hateful people, some people argue, is Juliana O'Connor Conley, and yet she's leading with being a Christian. This person said, spiritually minded people got us in the spot that we're in now.
Well, I'm not going to be one to judge, Sandy, but every man know themselves, every woman know themselves, and knowing right is right and wrong is wrong. It's the people to hold them accountable. It's the people, if they feel that they're not doing what they're hired to do, because at the end of the day, what I have been trying to beat into our people heads for so many years is that we, the people, are the government. We, the people, okay, for example, you're hired with someone to work for someone, and if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, that workplace or that manager is going to fire you. So the people of the Cayman Islands are the managers. You understand? So it's the people to hold them accountable, which they're not. It's the people to stand up and speak out and say, no, we don't want this.
We have another commenter here that said, I wanted to share my thoughts on today's topic regarding the current MP for constituency, Joey Hugh. I have never seen or interacted with Joey Hugh. He has never, folks, if you call in, you can't have a lot of background noise because it impacts our stream, but he has never seen or interacted with Joey Hugh. He has never come around to speak with residents, address our concerns, or even engage with the community. While I don't personally need handouts from him, I have a decent job, take care of my kids, and I'm currently building my home outside of the constituency. I'm still a registered voter in the area, and yet I've never seen him make any effort to connect with the people he represents. I can only imagine how others, especially those who actually need help, must feel. It's unfortunate that he continues to be reelected, seemingly maintaining support by offering gift certificates for Kirks and ham and turkey at Christmas time, rather than through meaningful engagement and leadership. On the other hand, I am familiar with Romellia. While she may not have political experience, I believe that she's capable of doing the job. She has actively helped people in the community, taken steps to beautify the island, and spoken up about illegal activities in the area. If she is willing to do all of these things without holding office, I can only imagine the impact that she could have if given the opportunity. I want to wish her well in this election, and I will be voting for her. I truly hope the people of Georgetown North recognize the need for change and take this opportunity to move forward. Let's not allow another 4 years of neglect. Thank you for allowing the public to engage on these important discussions. So that was a comment that someone has sent out. So Jonathan Ebanks, based on Jonathan's comments, he is not a fan. And he says to ask you, he says the one question that he has for Amelia is, why is her daughter not supporting her? That's the $1 million question. Why? And y'all notice it, but keep quiet because she's running against Joey. So I don't actually know what Jonathan is saying that we noticed, but what I can tell you, do you only have one daughter?
I have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, 10 beautiful, loving grandkids. I don't know
which daughter he's referring to, of course, but let us.
That is CC he's referring to, but at the end of the day.
Hold on a second, Ms. Romellia. Let's assume that he's referring to the civil servant. Of course, she's not in a position to make any public comments one way or another about a support for candidate, even if that candidate is her own mother. What I would say to Jonathan is I myself have spoken to Cindy, and although she cannot publicly say anything, I can tell you that Cindy is actually in support of her mother, because basically what Cindy said to me just a few days ago is that her mother is such a, she referred to her as kind of like a hound, like, you know, you put her on a job and she is going to get it done for the community. And she's been working for a very, very long time in the community. So I would say that those comments are actually quite supportive. So I don't know what conversations he's having with Cindy, why he comes to the conclusion that she's not supportive. I can tell you the private conversations that I've had do not support your position. Now, we don't have much more time as Romellia has to get to her elections office, but we will see you back on the program here in due course, Ms. Romellia.
Sandy, before I go, I would like to send out condolence to the grieving family of Watlers Road on behalf of Mr. Lincoln Silburn's family, who has passed, was killed. Sincere condolence to that family.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we were hoping to get to that discussion, but I want to give our young people some highlighted time this morning And so we actually did, and I am aware that we have about, oh my gosh, over 700 people in the live stream. I don't want y'all logging off now, because our youth and our young people, they need the ongoing support of the community. They need to know that we care about them as well. And so we have an interview here that was done with the youth parliamentarians. And you'll remember that they performed and did such an amazing job at the, looks like I've got to convert this. They did such an amazing job at the recent youth parliamentarian session that I was in particular very, very proud of them. So I wish for them to continue on the positive journey. And I wanted to sit down with them and really just have an opportunity to chat with them, get a feeling for how they did. And I can tell you that they did an amazing job. And while this is rendering, I have a few minutes here now because this is going to take a while, honey child. Oh, let me see what's going on. Okay, this is an unsupported format. Hold on one second. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me just get my video guy to redo this for me. So P4, please. Okay. So this is all right, so he's gonna have to re-render it for me. He sent in a format that I can't really pull up. All right, so yes, again, Jonathan, I think that you're making some assumptions, and that Cindy has gotten your message, and I'm gonna just show you. I'm going to just show you what she had to say, because I think there's probably no other way than to get it from the horse's mouth. So this will certainly, I think, answer your question about her support of her mother. And essentially what she says is, you guys think that you're smart because you know that she's a civil servant, and you're trying to get her in trouble by encouraging her to publicly support her mother. And of course, she would be the one being reined in by France Manderson and potentially not have a job. So please don't put any Caymanians in that position, whether their family members are running or not. But she didn't really mince her words, and this is a private conversation, but I'll share with you. She said, tell Jonathan I say to go dip up. Because they want a reason to report me if I ever publicly support my mother. Like you said, as a civil servant, I'm to remain, she meant to say neutral. These bad mind crosses need a life. And the $1 million answer, oh my God, no. I didn't see all that on it. Anyway, the bottom line is, Jonathan, Lord Jesus, the bottom line is she's saying that you guys are looking for a reason to try to get her, get heat on her, and she is not going to fall for it. What a hot mess. This person says, anyone who thinks Christianity is the only marker of honesty and integrity is blind to the world and will choose to ignore both corruption and goodness around them. All right, so yes, you gotta, I think for those of you who are like, everything is Christianity, I think you have got to understand that the average person in the world, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to see if I can quickly get this video. Yeah, the average person in the world really just wants people who are guided by principle, whether you're a Christian or not. I mean, you don't have to be breaking down church door in order to be a good principled individual. You have to have that within you have to have that within yourself, regardless. Somebody said radio is off. I have no idea why that would be the case. Let me see here. Yep. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can give him a quick call. So just a little technical difficulty with that file because the format is completely off. So we might have to play it tomorrow instead. And we'll continue to have some open mic opportunities this morning. All right, so let's do that. Let's pivot and say that we're going to, Jamila says, Jonathan Ebanks, all these fake profiles. Oh, Lord. When they have to get in the fake profile segment. Hey, just read the messages I just sent you, please, when you get a chance. Okay. Dana says Dwayne Seymour is a joke. I pray to God that he isn't reelected. Everything that comes out of his mouth is nonsense. Daisy says, but shouldn't you be saying publicly that she supports her mother, does not break the rules for her? Well, I'm saying it from a private conversation. What I'm telling you is she's not breaking the rules because she's not going out there and publicly doing it, which is what the rules are about. So I can say whatever I want. Those particular rules don't apply to me because I am not a civil servant, to be clear. So yeah. Anyway, y'all doesn't have a video track. What the heck? Yeah. So, y'all can't be coming for me, honey child, because that ain't got nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with the price of rice in China. Sorry for you. But again, you can't make up stuff on candidates. If you're going to come at them with the truth. So she can privately support her mother all she wants. And if I'm telling you that we've had a private conversation, then that's a totally different thing. So, keep it moving. All right. So here we go. She does have a meeting this evening that she wants to remind you guys all about.
Good day. My name is Romellia Welcome, candidate for Georgetown North. I'm inviting you to my first meeting at Kirkholme Center, Eastern Avenue, Monday, 24th of March at 7 p.m., God's willing. Hope to see you there.
All right. So again, this evening, folks, come on out. Mr. Romellia is having a meeting at Kirkholme Center, 7 p.m., and hear more of what she has to say on the issues that she says are important. Mm-hmm. All right. So this other person says it's funny that they have to come behind a fake profile to come on to make a comment speaking to Jonathan Ebanks. Yeah, that's sad. I mean, if you have something to say, put your name to it and show exactly who you are and where you stand and what you stand for, and stop hiding behind these fake accounts. Juanita says CC is doing the right thing. Blackberry says being a Christian cannot be a qualification for being elected. While the intentions are wholesome, our MPs must also be able to manage the people's affairs and negotiate and advocate effectively for what the people need. So here are my thoughts on this. Obviously a lot of us grew up in, kind of Christian homes and Christian environments. But again, I agree with Blackberry. That is not a qualification. And I think what people need to lead with in your personal life, you might be leading with your faith, but I think politically you have to be very, very careful because again, we've seen too many examples of people who are leading with their faith politically, and that has not served us, the people of the Cayman Islands, well at all. In fact, it's put us at a disadvantage because some of them are the most hateful people in the world. And then they get up and claim that they're Christians and they're knocking down church doors and stuff like that. So we're not impressed by Christianity. Christianity, being a Christian in this day and age, is not likely to get you any votes. It might even cost you votes because of the poor examples that other Christians have led with, right? That is your personal business. If you're a Christian, you're more than welcome to be that. But when it comes to advocating on behalf of the people, say, for example, someone is an atheist or they're non-Christian, are you going to advocate for them just because I mean, you're going to advocate for them just as staunchly as you would for a member of your church or someone who's a Christian. So this is where we really need to understand what it is that the people want. Fine, you grew up Christian, you're a Christian, that's fine. But the people of this country want representatives, despite what your religious positions are and what your religious beliefs are. We want representatives who can focus on the issues, who understand, what the people of this country need. And we don't need another pastor. We got more than enough of them. We don't need another Bible thumper and all that sort of stuff. Enough of them around the place. What we need are elected officials who are dedicated to making the lives of Caymanians better, regardless of who they are. So I agree here. Flight Simulator says very true. She has to tune it down a bit. She's not the only one like that. I think there's a few more candidates who are leading with their faith and who, needs to pull it back a little bit. We want to hear more about what you're bringing to the table, regardless of whether you're Christian or anything else for that matter. Parado says kaboom. Kaboom! Justice will be served as Cayman first world, Jamaica first world, because America's third world with how they look. Look at the rats. Yeah, that's not quite how you qualify as a first or third world, but so Daisy says if she doesn't win, that sounds like a good idea. She should join his committee. Whose committee? Justice will be served says that Dwayne Seymour needs to declare all of his assets in Cayman. Somebody else made mention that Dwayne is not doing nothing for Bodden Town. I hope he doesn't get elected again. Betty Wilson says, let's pray the Lord choose the right person, not someone to change their number after they win, and stop tearing down no matter who the person running, no matter who the person who running. Okay. Jonathan says, maybe we are civil servants too. Yeah. Okay. Merstar says, yes, Jamila, plus she's a civil servant and she can't publicly support anyone without hindering her job. All right. Okay. So we had a murder over the weekend. Very, very sad situation. I'm sure most of you are aware of this. What happened to the radio? All right. So tomorrow we'll have to do the youth parliamentarian interview because he's actually out on the road. So we'll do that tomorrow. So we had a murder. We had a murder this weekend. Really quite a sad situation. The police were able to arrest her quite quickly because I can tell you what, from morning, everybody seems to have known exactly who it was. I received the first messages that this man, Mr. Selvin, was killed. And immediately the messages included who actually did it. So y'all knew who done it. As I say, this was a very, very easy one to solve for sure. Very, very unfortunate. I don't know this young lady. She is related to, it seems, our own people, Caymanians. And unfortunately, it seems like maybe she has drug issues and other types of problems. But the streets are saying that essentially she killed this guy with a brick. I mean, y'all knew the whole story from the word jump in terms of exactly what happened. I suspect that there's probably ample video footage of this. There's now CCTV cameras all over the place. And I'm pretty sure in that location that there are as well. So her name is Kendra Bodden. I'm told that, she's related to the Kellys, the Kelly family, which is so unfortunate for them to now have to deal with this situation. But Caymanians, let me tell you something. The one thing I hope for I wouldn't want anybody to get involved in is drugs, because drugs ruin your life in a different kind of way. This was fueled by, somebody says, I heard it may have been self-defense. Roar, I can tell you that that's not the case at all. This wasn't no self-defense. Big shout out to the business that had their CCTV cameras up and actually recording. That my understanding is cut the whole thing. This was not self-defense. You don't take a brick and throw it on somebody's head and kill them, and then somehow that becomes self-defense. How would he even be in that position for you to be throwing a brick down on him? That ain't self-defense, honey chow. Anywho, this is a young lady here, I guess, in better times, when she was doing better. But yeah, I don't know what kind of problems. Greg says she has mental problems. I don't know exactly what she's been diagnosed with or not. But again, this certainly lends the question of, wow. It's pretty wild. But there she is. Yeah. Cold-blooded murder. I was shocked. Let me just say that it takes a special kind of person to kill someone with a brick. So someone says, yes, there are mental issues, mental and drug issues down in Rock Hole. And folks, again, this is why we need to ensure that our people are getting help. Addiction can bring on mental health issues, and vice versa as well. Mental health issues can make you become, an addict. So someone says that's John Michael Kelly's sister. Yes, we're aware that she's for Miss Lisa. And so all I can tell you is to Mr. Salvin's family, he's 63 years old. I'm very, very sorry that this has happened to you. That you lose him at such a, senior age. And so I don't know. We'll keep an eye on this case. And wow, what a hot mess. Yikes. What to do? Hermes says politics and religion do not mix. It's like oil and water. However, we should not be tearing anyone down because they're a God-fearing person. To be clear, Hermes, people will have their own beliefs, which they're entitled to. And we believe in freedom of religion in this country. I think that people just need to be very, very careful when they're running for political office. Like I said, don't lead with your religious beliefs. That's a personal matter for you. El Ray, it's too early for jokes. He says, was it a British clay brick or a Flowers 8-inch brick? El Ray, behave yourself. Back of the classroom for you, sir. Back of the classroom. Let's play a little something to see if we can get the radio to kick back in. I'm not quite sure what happened with the radio, but if we play some music, it should kick back in. So let's do a few commercials while we're at it. Over 700 people in live stream. Good morning, K-Man.
Recover Personal Injury Attorneys, helping injured people get what they deserve. Did you know that insurance companies have lawyers that represent their interests? Before signing and accepting any settlement, know your rights. Call us today for a free consultation at 924-9999. That's 924-9999. Recover. Your personal injury attorneys are on standby to assist.
All right, my apologies. I keep saying Sylvan because I think he's in my head. It's Mr. Silburn. Hold on a second. Let me get his full name. Lincoln. Mr. Lincoln Silburn is the correct name of the deceased. My apologies, not Selvin. Mr. Lincoln Silburn. All right. Yeah, so we do think that, she was probably on something, but again, we'll have to wait for all of the details to come out in terms of a motive. Sometimes when you're a drug addict, you don't need much of a motive to do pretty wild and crazy things. She's family to the young lady that killed herself years ago. Which young lady was that? No, not parking pavers, like just a brick, like a El Rey. Is the radio back on? Did that kick in the radio for us? If not, let's do another one.
Great news, K-Man! Tim Hortons is finally open and ready to serve you. Start your day right with our delicious all-day breakfast, or grab a box of our famous Timbits and a dozen donuts for a sweet treat. Need a quick pick-me-up? Swing by our drive-thru for your favorite espresso drink anytime. We're open weekdays from 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. on the weekends, closing 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, with 2 entrances at the Shamrock Road Roundabout in Red Bay. It's time for Tim's.
When we were growing up, things were different. We were a tight-knit community. Family lived close by. Neighbors took care of neighbors. But slowly, things changed. Now, it's all slipping away. Cayman is growing too fast, and too many Caymanians are being left behind. We are losing not just our islands, but our way of life. Costs are skyrocketing. Food, medicines, health insurance, housing. Families are struggling to afford basic needs. Today, we Caymanians are a minority in our own country. We learned some hard truths. We saw up close how special interests can control our country. We try to stand up for what is right, to stand up for our community, and to stand on principle. Sadly, there were too few of us. Enough is enough. That's why we're coming together with people that share our values to form the Caymanian Community Party. This isn't about politics as usual. It's about people. We are a movement built by Caymanians, for Caymanians, and focused on strengthening our Caymanian community. Caymanians deserve the opportunity to vote for a party with a clear set of values and ideals, a party that listens to their voices, represents their values, and stands united in advancing their interests. It's time to make the tough decisions to reclaim the Cayman Islands we all love. We support growth, but it needs to be balanced. We stand for a strong economy. We stand for making sure Caymanians come first in our own country, where every Caymanian now and in the future can afford a home. We stand for fiercely protecting our Caymanian culture, our heritage, our quality of life, and our natural environment. This means addressing the cost of living by transitioning to clean energy, building efficient, affordable homes, and lowering the cost of health insurance. It means transforming our children's education so they can get the jobs they deserve in a rapidly changing world. It means a strong, stable government that gets things done and is committed to fiscal responsibility, good governance, and sustainability. We believe in the power of community to create meaningful change that benefits our people. Join us. We are the Caymanian Community Party, putting Caymanians.
My name is Deborah Susan Ebanks, and I met Ralston in 2009. That's when he was elected as Minister of Education, and that was my first encounter with him. One of the things that I thought most admirable about Ralston would be that he's not a talker, he's a doer. So, take for example, we have issues with parents who are having issues with their children in schools versus teachers. Instead of having chief officers speak to those parents, he would have those parents come into his office and he would meet with them personally. He was one of the first ministers that I knew of that was very involved in all PTA meetings. He went to the public schools. He made sure things were implemented that had not been implemented before. He has a list that would take the rest of the afternoon for me to speak of his achievements during my tenure in the ministry with him. He was a mover and a shaker. He made a big big difference. And under that leadership, I gained a lot of respect for him. When he declared for West Bay North, I was approached by him and he asked if I would endorse him, which I told him yes. And I would encourage the people of West Bay North to vote for him, to vote for Ralston Malachi Anglin, or as some people say, Raleigh. He is the best education minister we ever had. Hands down. Hands down.
All right, folks. So full political commercials there. April 30th, folks, right around the corner, honey child. So yes, we're gonna keep the family of Mr. Silburn in our thoughts and prayers, and just a very, very sad situation, unfortunately. All right. What more can I say? Just really horrible. So on Friday, I think you guys were aware that I had that morning gotten wind of something that was posted about me in the group chat, and I have engaged. I just want to be very frank and honest with you guys that I have engaged my attorneys, and they will be sending correspondence to that person this morning. Some people are of the opinion that you just ignore these things forever, and I think I have done a pretty good job of ignoring them up to a point. But I also do think that although I am in a public space, there are things that people should not feel like they can say about me without repercussions. And unfortunately, Makiva Bush, I'm going to tell you guys who it is this morning. I didn't say who it was on Friday, but I'm going to tell you now this morning that Makiva Bush has crossed the line with me. And so I have engaged my attorneys, and they will be in touch with him shortly. All I can say about what he said is he's a vile individual, and no woman or man that is self-respecting should be giving Mr. Bush a vote. I'll address one of the things that he said, and the other one is so vile. He called me a derogatory term that in this country, if I called the police, if he had said it to me, to my face, it would be an arrestable offense. I think for the offense of insulting the modesty of a woman, I'm not an expert in this area, but I believe that you actually have to say it to her for it to be an offense. You can't say it to other people for it to be an offense, if that makes sense. So he put it in a group, in Sherry Ann's group chat with over 300 people having access to it. And he accused me of stealing millions of dollars from the Cayman Islands government. I'm not even sure what this man is talking about, but based on what he said, that, I should have paid it to the students, I'm assuming he's talking about the situation with the Nation Building Fund. Now, here's the thing. Mr. Bush speaks all sorts of nonsense on a regular basis that just makes zero sense at all. I mean, I don't know if he's constantly intoxicated, because, we always want to give him excuse about his intoxication. But what I would say is students weren't getting paid. This was a contractual situation where my company, Micromatrix, was providing services, and the government of the Cayman Islands was sponsoring the students to do the course. Ironically, it is his own, him as at the time premier of the country, who actually signed the contract. And he thought it was a great idea, he claimed at the time. And this is what the Nation Building Fund was supposed to do, was to help advance Caymanians who wanted to do training. And this was a paralegal course that we were offering. So for him now, years later, and by the way, not for nothing, but Mr. Bush also, when the criminal trial came up, he provided a reference letter to my attorneys for my own defense to say that the people who were trying to politicize this and make this into something that it was not, are being disingenuous, and they need to go back and look at the contract and what the terms of the contract were, and that I was doing my part as far as he knew in terms of fulfilling the contract. So here we are years later now, this man is telling a bold-faced lie that I stole millions of dollars from the government of the Cayman Islands. The contract was maybe in total a value of $60,000, which they hadn't paid half of it, by the way. To this day, they still have not paid half of it. So how $30,000 turns into me supposedly stealing millions of dollars? That matter went to court. The judge threw it out. He instructed the jurors to throw it out because the prosecution had not even met the minimum standard of the elements required for the offense. And he instructed the jury to throw the case out. Makiba Bush, you do not get the liberty of saying any and everything about people, whether it's true or not. And when you, and I don't care if you were in a drunken state or not, I don't really give two cahoots, say the things that you said about me last week, Thursday evening, I'm not going to sit back and allow it to happen. And in fact, let me be very, very clear. And he's being sued, so he will get his papers in due course. But let me be very, very clear here this morning, and I'm sending this warning to all of the Levon Bodens of the world, all of the Hunter Waltons of the world, all of the Frank McFields, and anybody else who wants to take me on. I will sue you, and make no two bones about it. If that's what it's going to take for you to stop lying on me with your hate, then it's going to be what it's going to be. And this isn't about trying to get anything from any of you, because Lord knows collectively you might have a pot to piss in if we add everything up together between all 4 or 5 of you that feel like you can keep coming at me. Now, the most bizarre thing is nobody in that group was actually talking about me. So everybody was confused about where did this comment come out from. I don't really care where it came out from, but what I will tell you is that the lies have got to stop. Okay? It is one thing to have an opinion. It is one thing to talk the truth. But what you cannot do is you cannot make up lies on people. So Addie Truth, another fake account, says, funny you say this. People cannot say anything about you. No, I've taken a lot. And I'm saying now, in this time, I'm not going to take anymore. So that also is not true. And in your words, true or false, but you can sit on call another woman a bicycle. Because let me be very clear, Auntie Addie, or whatever your fake name is. Let's be very, very clear. Do we need to go through? You want to bring this up again? We really need to talk about Barbara again? You really want to go there? Because if you fact check the things that I said, I told no lies. Okay? So, the difference with defamation is truth versus untruth. If what I said about someone is the truth, you don't have a case. You think that I could have said those things about Barbara, about Alden McLaughlin, and all the other people that I have said, and if it wasn't true, they wouldn't sue me? You know how many times I've been sued for defamation, and not a single person has won a defamation lawsuit? I'm just saying. You're entitled to say what you want. You're not entitled to your own facts. But when you say the facts, people may not like it, and you might add on an opinion to fact. That's a very different situation. That's not defamation. And so, someone like you needs to clearly learn the difference between the two. And if I had said anything incorrect about them, I assure you that I would have been sued a long time ago. Let's be very, very clear. There is a difference here. I can take my licks just as good as anybody else because God knows I can give them. And I don't have any problems with that. What I will no longer allow these people to do is sit down and spew false accusations. And some of them are absolutely ridiculous, but at the same time, it's false accusations. We've had them come on here. You heard Frank in his own words. He was accusing me of trying to take down an entire plane full of people. I don't even know what Frank is talking about. Then he came on here, apologized, and said somebody told him all that stuff, and he didn't know if it was true or not. You can't go around doing that. So keep it up, Frank. Keep it up. Keep it up, Hunter. Every single time I message Hunter and say, you know, where can I serve papers on you? He mysteriously, all of a sudden, as they say, cat got his tongue. We'll track you down at the Chambers Forum if we have to, Hunter. We will find you at the coffee shop. If that is still open, you will be served. Keep trying me if y'all think you're bright. Okay. All right. So just keeping y'all abreast of what's happening there. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. And those of you who are so afraid, and you know, you're wasting your time sending around something. Someone sent me something this morning that I had to laugh at. Justin Frazier, uncle of Jordan Frazier, CINP, lives in the States, and he big time Trump supporter and sending out some diatribe about CMR. Listen, it is obvious that CMR is the people's choice, right? Especially when it comes to the election. And at the end of the day, you know, it's pretty wild and crazy that you guys are so incredibly desperate that you try to push a particular narrative on people. Listen, people had the choice of coming on here and they've decided not to. That's their choice. I mean, it is what it is. And I'm not going to give you all the intricate details of exactly what transpired, why some of them are not on here, because I can assure you that you would not be looking favorable at them if I did, right? But then they go out there and they try to put a spin on it that, oh, we're not on Sandy's platform because she is TCCP. That's not the case at all. TCCP is a client. They have paid for their services and they get what they pay for. Just like the other people, when they were talking to me, I made it very, very clear to them how it worked, how you can come on the program, what you'd get. These are your packages. Now, they weren't able to get it together. And so that's not my fault. You know, that has nothing to do with me, to be quite frank. The option was available to them. So now, after the fact, here we are, just about a little less than a month out from the general election, to try to twist the narrative and say, well, we're not in her platform because she's pro TCCP. That's not what happened at all. Most of them, it came down to them thinking that they didn't need CMR, that they could do it on their own. And now they're realizing that, oops, maybe we made a miscalculation. Maybe we didn't quite get it right, because here we are now month out and we're not gaining anywhere near the traction. Well, that's their business. You know, I'm not here to run their campaigns for them. That's not what I do. That's not the service I provide. The service I provide is you come on the program that gives you entitlement to the show, that gives you entitlement to social media. You can have your banners on the website. You know, we can do special interviews with you, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the things that you get access to. What you don't get access to is loyalty from people. You have to come here and prove yourself, and you're going to answer the same tough questions just like anybody else. And a lot of them are afraid to put themselves in that position because they're not ready. Someone says alcohol is eating away the few brain cells that McKeever had left. Sue is mentally challenged. You know what? And, you know, it's an insult to even it's an insult to even say that, because you're insulting people who are mentally challenged when you compare McKeever to them, to be quite frank and honest, because he's not mentally challenged. He is a dishonest person. He is duplicitous. He is a lot of things, you know, and we don't need to be giving him any more excuses on that front. So just really, really sad, because this is someone who had a lot of potential. As it relates to, good morning, Miss Joyce Ann. As it relates to the FOI with Chris Saunders, I did receive it, and I'm going to be going through it now, and I'm going to be putting it together. But I can tell you that they have sent me some redacted emails. between the deputy governor and some others. And so is this the one? Hold on. Let me just see. Let me make sure that this is the one that I'm looking for. Okay. Yes. All right, so they're denying my FOI request. I'm just having a quick look here. I hadn't even had a look. So they've denied it because they have said, this is what they've said. Let me just read this. Regrettably, your application has been denied because the one responsive record that is held by the Office of the Deputy Governor is exempt from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. Because that record, a part of the record shall not apply, subject to the remaining provisions of that section. A record is exempt. Can I just get to the point? Okay. What's the reason? Unreasonable disclosure of personal information of any individual, whether living or dead. Okay. So basically, their position is, in addition to consisting of Mr. Saunders' personal information, as defined in the FOI Act, the record consists of Mr. Saunders' personal data. So again, these are things in my mind that could have been redacted, which obviously, anyway, this is exactly why I don't fool with FOI, because trust me when I tell you FOI is a joke and they will do everything in their power to not get you the information. That's okay. I've seen the letters with my own two eyes, and now I will go outside of FOI and get said letters and proceed with from there. You know, it's just, it's shocking. So what they did attach for me is a letter from Onisha Richards going back to March of 2023, where they say that please see the below in response to your questions from the 24th in response attributed to the Deputy Governor. Okay. So apparently she was involved in sending a letter to Mr. France. He was copied in on it, and somebody else, it was actually directed at somebody else. And then it came from her, and he was copied on it. So his office, which this FOI went to, has released this and essentially said that under the freedom of, so the Premier's office is also not wanting to provide any information. Yeah. They claim that the only letter, they say the only thing that they have, we have carefully considered your request for information under the Freedom of Information Act. We conducted a thorough search for any records that may be responsive to your request. The only record held by the Office of the Premier is a memo that was drafted by the then Deputy Governor to, at the time, the Honorable Premier Wayne Panton. This record most closely relates to the functions of the Office of Deputy Governor as it was drafted by the Deputy Governor. Therefore, the determination regarding the disclosure must be made by the Office of the Deputy Governor. So they threw it back to the Office of the DG. So they have it, but they refuse them to give it, and threw it back to the Office of the DG. And then the Office of the DG is saying, nope, it contains personal information, so we're not going to release it. All right, fine. This is where CMR is not like the rest of the media. We're not going to waste our time trying to appeal this and all this kind of stuff. We're going to go to people who actually do have the letters and have copies of it and say, hey, just give me a copy of that letter. We're not going to be sharing any personal what personal information? The fact that he got fired from his job is not not personal information. So we do see here evidence of, at least in this correspondence, which they took out who it was actually sent to, but we do see evidence here that there was complaints brought to her attention as Director of Communications concerning the behavior of former Minister Saunders towards certain civil servants who were raised with me, and which I subsequently shared with the Premier, who has authority to take action in matters pertaining to the Minister of Cabinet. It is also my duty to ensure that the civil service remains apolitical, and I will ensure that the civil service continues to serve the elected government and their priorities to make the lives of those we serve better. So this was, it says here that this was below was in response to questions from attributed to the deputy governor. So I don't know. But we'll get the letters because I think what has to be clear is that he was not, as he has told people, and there are a lot of people who are of the opinion that he was not terminated, that he actually resigned, and he did not resign. So for a guy to go around constantly telling people that he resigned from being deputy leader and resigned from cabinet at the time, the people of the Cayman Islands have a right to know the truth. And so that is what, folks, we're going to be getting at here. But not to worry, I'll get the information for the people of the Cayman Islands. And again, this is a perfect example of why I don't waste my time, because this has been a month of my life waiting on them to come back with foolishness about this FOI. Darlene says, Sandy, Good Samaritan will put that information on your windshield. From your lips to God's ears, from your lips to God's ears. And this is another reason why I don't believe in the FOI system and why I personally hardly ever use it, because in most instances, I have found it to be a complete and utter waste of my time. And if they have information that they do not want to share with you, they will find some excuse in the FOI law to do so. And then I must waste another 2 months of my life trying to appeal it. No thanks. I don't have that kind of time to waste. And the people of the Cayman Islands need to go into the election knowing exactly the type of person that he is. All right, so bear with me. I'll get the information. All right. So leave it with me, honey child. That's why my middle name is Tenacity, not Teresa. It's actually Tenacity. We will get to it. All right, good folks. Yep, that's how they get around it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Got some work to do around the place, so we're not going to go into much overtime. Do tune in tomorrow, because on tomorrow's program, hopefully we'll have the youth parliamentarian interview ready. And I want to give a big shout out to those young people, because they sat there and answered questions with not a piece of paper. Wow, I was so impressed by them. So make sure you tune in early on tomorrow's program. And again, we want to extend our condolences to the family of Mr. Silburn, who unfortunately lost his life in a very unfortunate, Lincoln Silburn, who lost his life in a very unfortunate assault case over the weekend. So incredibly sad. I don't really know what more to say about that situation. And we'll keep abreast of, all of the elements of the case as it progresses through the court system. So the young lady, Kendra, has been arrested, and we'll let you guys know where it goes from there. All right. Have a blessed day, folks. We'll speak to you tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.